Let me tell you why something like Bleach doesn't get this attention. Bleach doesn't get this attention because it has one of the most boring hooks in anime history. One of the most boring beginnings in anime history. You watch beyond, you know, the Human Society arc and then get into the Soul Society arc. And you see all this good shit happening, but guess what? Most people aren't going to get past the Human Society arc, or they're going to skip to the Soul Society arc. Could never be Demon Slayer, baby. Everyone watches the first arc, the second arc, the third arc, the fourth arc, and so on. You know why? Because Demon Slayer has a pretty easy beginning to get into. Even though cliche as it may be, it just has a better hook than Bleach. Let's be real. The final arc of Bleach cannot be animated. And that's a fact, not an opinion. When you look into other trash anime like Jujutsu Kaisen, you start to wonder, man, you know, I really want the Gojo and Sukuna fight to be 1 hour long. Well, guess what? The Gojo and Sukuna fight is the peak of that arc. And not only is it the peak of that arc, you have to look deep into it. That is the worst paced war arc in manga history. And now you may be thinking, well, they kind of had to rush Naruto's war arc because no. Let me tell you something. You might be right about that, but I don't care. Not only was Jujutsu Kaisen's war arc literally the most boring thing ever, with them switching perspectives to what was that goofy person's name that fought Kenjaku? I don't even know his name, bro. But reading those were the most boring experience of my life. And let me tell you, I've done a lot of boring things. Like, play Marvel Spider-Man. Watch episode 1 of Solo Leveling, right? Those are boring things. But let me tell you, reading those 2 chapters that Kenjaku got snuck and got dealt with in the worst way possible was the most boring read of my life. They could even make it fun. They had all these dumb references. Oh my god, no. No, Jujutsu Kaisen does not deserve a war arc animated as a movie, okay? It just cannot happen. Fire Force? No, Fire Force is trash and has no emotion like that. It cannot happen. Black Clover? No, it cannot happen. Solo Leveling? Maybe, but let's be real. Solo Leveling is kind of cheeks. So, you know what I'm saying? Demon Slayer is the only anime that can do this. And even if you consider this anime average at best, it doesn't really have any well, I don't lie, season 3 was boring, but after that, it has its highest peak in the series. Let me tell you what made this movie funny as shit, okay? So, number 1, we have this dumbass nigga Tanjiro screaming, Mr. Giyu! Mr. Giyu! Mr. Giyu! Mr. Giyu! Then charges at Akaza. Akaza throws him across the room, which was funny as shit. And then he keeps on screaming, Mr. Giyu! But before all this was hella funny because Giyu said, I won't tell you my name, when Akaza asked for his name, okay? So, the movie's just funny as shit. There's also this other moment, and it was blatantly comedic, okay? So, Tanjiro appeared out of nowhere. He appeared from the dust, appeared from the dead. You know what I'm saying? And Giyu sees that, oh my god, Tanjiro is behind him. He can sneak him and cut his head off. Oh my god. And then, you know what I'm saying?
Tanjiro, do it! If you have the strength, behead him! Before he notices you, go for it! Akaza! Prepare to be the
I don't even know if I'm allowed to show that shit, but bro, even the demons were funny themselves because they kept on rage baiting our heroes, bro. Just look at what happened with Doma and Shinobu, bro. Like, not only did Shinobu blitz him once, but they had an all-out fight. Well, not Doma going all out, but Shinobu, impressing him with his speed, allegedly. Okay, and when Shinobu is badly injured and she's planning to put her power into one final attack, she strikes Doma with it, and then Doma talk about oh my god, I'm so sorry for you, you're weaker than your sister, when Doma literally one-shot her sister, bro. This is just peak rage bait, okay? But anyways, moving on from the side tangent, as you can see, the title of the video says why Demon Slayer is peak fiction, and you know what I'm saying, even the thumbnail says it. And okay, we're not gonna talk about the writing, obviously, because let's be honest, Blue Exorcist is a better written demon slaying anime. But anyways, when I'm thinking about peak fiction, I'm thinking about the peak of fiction, okay? And it can mean anything. Peak combat, Naruto. Well, not really, but peak combat, Naruto. Peak art style, maybe something like Kagurabachi, because I'm not gonna lie, that shit is heat. And then if I say peak longest story, I'd say something like Case Closed, because it is a very good long running series. Definitely better than One Piece. I don't like One Piece like that. But anyways, those are what makes something like a shonen peak fiction. But let's think beyond that. There could be one aspect of a shonen or a fiction piece in general that make it boring, hard to get into, or have no identity. That doesn't make it appeal to people as much. You see what I'm saying? So what really makes something peak fiction? Well, as I am one of the most intelligent beings on the planet, I'm going to make my own self-made definition, as human words are just self-made things. You know what I'm saying? So, when I call Demon Slayer peak fiction, I mean peak animation, peak choreography, peak combat. In terms of anime, having a great art style of lovable characters, and a really taken care of anime. Because in the anime movie, it's even showed that, like, Yubayashiki twins were drawing the Infinity Castle, and they added that detail, and it made it similar to what was happening in Infinity Castle, which is the intended purpose. But it just shows how much they put into the anime, and how every anime at a fundamental level could be animated this well. Okay, it's not impossible. With enough hard work and talent, you could get this done. And even beyond this, because people are gonna only think about me talking about aura farming and hype moments. No, that's not what I'm really trying to say. Even beyond this, this anime probably has one of the greatest hooks in fiction. And when I say greatest hook in fiction, I'm mainly talking about how easy it is to get into it, and how our attention is pulled from Demon Slayer. Now, it's not to say like Demon Slayer always had motion with this, because I'm not gonna lie, one of the episodes, I think it was episode 18 of Demon Slayer, that's when the fan base started to spike in numbers. Okay, it was getting really, 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 really big. It always had a great hook though, like I said, and if it didn't, then tell me why something like Soul Society, which is objectively one of the peaks of Bleach, it definitely didn't have as much motion as episode 18 of Demon Slayer. Okay? This is because people were actually watching it, and the viewer base went up episode by episode. Demon Slayer wasn't doing bad before episode 18 at all. And let's talk about another aspect that I like with Demon Slayer, okay? So, reading the Demon Slayer manga, the art style isn't bad, but it kind of is boring in a sense. That, like, the manga paneling structure, the fights, it just doesn't look that good, okay? And like, I know it has some moments that tops the anime, like with Tanjiro getting serious, his cocky side, but come on now. Demon Slayer's mood in the manga is portrayed differently than in the anime. In the anime, we're actually feeling bad for these characters, and it comes down to stuff like how good it looks, the music, and everything you could think of that something like, I don't know, a manga just wouldn't portray, which is why everyone would rather watch the anime. And I know the manga had a lot of sales after the anime skyrocketed, but the anime just really carried Demon Slayer. This movie basically reminds you of how fun it was to watch Demon Slayer for the first time. You watch Demon Slayer for the first time, and then maybe talk about it with your friends, and then you went to see the Mugen Train movie, and then you get really excited to see more Demon Slayer content. That's what we're feeling like with the movie, because of the awesome fights and everything I listed above. Demon Slayer definitely doesn't have peak writing or anything, and I'm not gonna lie, it kind of does do the bare minimum, but from an anime aspect, this anime is just peak fiction, and like there's no denying it. I'm hyped for something like Chainsaw Man because of the fun and writing, but I know it's not gonna have the same attention to detail as the Demon Slayer movies are about to have and already have with the first movie. So yeah, if you like this video, because I always spit facts, thank you for watching. I know this video is gonna get like really popular because I'm just that goated. And if you're still thinking about shitty JJK getting a movie when it literally peaks at Maki assassinating the clan, already know you a bitch, my nigga. I'm stacking the bread like the chips, my nigga. Please come get your bitch, my nigga.